There is a question hiding beneath almost every relationship problem. Most people never ask it. They ask why someone pulled away, why someone lost interest, why someone stopped calling, why someone seems distant. But beneath all those questions is another one, a much more important one. Who am I being in relation to love? Not what is the other person doing, not what are they thinking, not what happened yesterday. Who am I being? Because Neville Goddard taught that the world is always reflecting the state you occupy, and nowhere is that reflection more visible than in relationships. Many people spend years trying to become loved, trying to be chosen, trying to be noticed, trying to be enough. They believe love is something they must earn, something they must prove themselves worthy of receiving, something another person controls. But what if the problem was never the other person? What if the problem was the identity you carried into the relationship? Imagine two versions of the same person. One secretly believes they are difficult to love. The other feels naturally lovable. The first person constantly seeks reassurance. The second person naturally expects affection. The first person worries about losing people. The second person trusts connection. The first person interprets silence as rejection. The second person interprets silence as temporary. Same world, different identity, different reality. This is why Neville placed so much emphasis on self-concept. Because relationships often reveal what you believe about yourself. The person who feels unwanted tends to find evidence of being unwanted. The person who feels valued tends to find evidence of being valued. Not because reality is unfair, because reality reflects identity. Think about how often people focus entirely on the other person. They ask, how can I make them love me? How can I make them choose me? How can I make them come back? Neville would likely ask a different question. What version of yourself are you asking from? Because the version matters. The version who feels abandoned creates one experience. The version who feels chosen creates another. The version who feels unworthy creates one reality. The version who feels deeply loved creates another. Most people are trying to change the reflection. Neville wanted people to change the source. Imagine walking into every room carrying the assumption that you are genuinely appreciated. Not arrogance, not ego, just quiet certainty. How would you move? How would you speak? How would you respond? How much energy would you waste worrying about rejection? Probably very little. Because rejection would no longer define you. The identity would define you. This is what so many people miss. Love is not primarily about finding the right person. Love is often about becoming the right version of yourself. The version who no longer needs constant proof. The version who no longer measures their value through someone else's behavior. The version who already feels complete. Neville taught that states create circumstances, and the state of being loved is very different from the state of trying to become loved. One feels relaxed, the other feels anxious. One feels secure, the other feels uncertain. One attracts, the other chases. This is why self-concept changes everything. Because people respond differently when you occupy a different state. Not because you manipulate them, because you become different. The person who feels deeply loved notices possibilities instead of problems. The person who feels worthy interprets events differently. The person who feels chosen carries a completely different energy. And energy influences experience. Think about someone who constantly worries about being left. Every interaction becomes filtered through fear. Every delay becomes suspicious. Every silence becomes meaningful. Now imagine someone who feels secure. The same events happen, but they experience them differently. Because the identity changed. And identity shapes perception. Perception shapes behavior. Behavior shapes reality. This is why the loved version of you is so powerful. The loved version of you does not spend all day wondering if love is coming. The loved version of you already feels connected, already feels appreciated, already feels chosen, already feels enough. And that feeling changes everything. Not tomorrow, now. The moment you stop trying to earn love and begin identifying with it, a shift occurs. You stop chasing. You stop convincing. You stop proving. You stop negotiating your worth. And something remarkable happens. Love begins feeling natural. Not distant. Not complicated. Not conditional. Natural. That is the state Neville wanted people to occupy. Not the state of wanting. The state of having. Not the state of hoping. The state of knowing. Not the state of becoming loved. The state of already being loved. Because once that state becomes familiar, the outer world begins reflecting it. People respond differently. Relationships evolve differently. Experiences unfold differently. And eventually you realize something important. The love you were seeking from others was pointing you toward a deeper transformation all along. The transformation of becoming the version of yourself who no longer doubts their own worth. The version who no longer asks whether they are enough. The version who no longer waits for permission to feel loved. Because that version already knows. And once you become that version internally, the world has a remarkable way of agreeing with you. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, because what you learn next could change your life.